You were never weak, you were healing. I want you to hear that slowly, the way rain taps the roof when the night is heavy and the heart is learning how to breathe again. Because there are wounds that do not bleed in public, and still they leave a trail. There are aches that do not make a sound, and still they shake the furniture of your life. And when you had to sit in the quiet with your own shaking hands, when you smiled for people who never asked what it cost you, when you kept going on legs that felt like borrowed sticks of faith, they called it fragile. But I have lived long enough to know the difference between a thing that is breaking and a thing that is becoming. Healing can look like retreat, but it's protection and strategy. Some folks will watch you step back from the noise and call it quitting, as if the only proof of strength is how loudly you keep suffering in public. They will look for your smile in the usual places, your yes on demand, your presence at every table where you were never truly fed, and when you are not there, they will say, "You have changed." And I want you to understand, yes, you have changed. You have stopped offering your spirit like an open hand to people who keep taking without tenderness. You have stopped running into fires to prove you are not afraid of smoke. There is a kind of wisdom that arrives like a season. It doesn't kick the door down. It settles in, quiet and steady, and it begins to rearrange the furniture of your life. It teaches you that not every call deserves an answer. Not every argument deserves your breath. Not every invitation is a blessing. Sometimes healing is you folding yourself inward the way a flower closes at dusk, not because it has died, but because it knows the night is not the time to bloom. Sometimes it is you stepping off the stage so your heart can stop performing and start repairing. Sometimes it is you choosing silence, not the silence of fear, but the silence of sacred work, the hush where your soul can hear itself again. And let me tell you something plain. Retreat is not always a running away. Sometimes it is a returning. Returning to your body, returning to your peace, returning to the part of you that has been speaking softly for years while the world demanded you shout. The river does not apologize for bending around the stone. It does what it must to keep moving. The tree does not argue with winter. It goes inward. It holds its life close, and it waits. That is strategy. That is protection. That is strength, wearing a quieter coat. So if you have stepped back, if you have gone still, if you have chosen distance from what drains you, don't you dare call it weakness. Call it wisdom. Call it healing with a backbone. Call it the moment you decided your life is worth guarding. And when the world asks why you're not where you used to be, let your peace be the only answer. Tears are truth, not defeat. They wash your vision clean. I know this world can be cruel in the way it measures courage, as if bravery is a face that never crumbles and strength is a throat that never tightens. They tell you to swallow your sorrow, to tuck your grief into a pocket like a shameful thing, to wipe your eyes quickly so nobody grows uncomfortable. But the soul does not heal by pretending. The heart does not mend by acting polished. Sometimes the truest thing you can do is let the water come. A tear is not a collapse. It is a confession. It is the body speaking a language older than words, saying, "This mattered," saying, "This hurt," saying, "I am still here." Tears are the river that carries out what poison tried to settle inside you. They are the rain that loosens the dust from a long drought so the ground can finally breathe again. And you may not understand it in the moment, but when you cry, you are not falling apart, you are clearing space. You are making room for the truth to sit down without being chased away. Some of you have been holding your tears like contraband, hiding them in bathrooms and late-night pillows, turning your face from mirrors as if your own tenderness might accuse you. But tenderness is not your enemy. It is evidence that your heart is alive, that it has not become a stone just because life threw stones at it. There is dignity in tears when they are honest. There's courage in letting yourself feel what you feel without turning it into a courtroom where you are always the one on trial. And listen to me, tears do not make you smaller. They make you clearer. They rinse the old lies from your eyes, that you should have been over it by now, that you were too sensitive, that needing comfort means you are weak. No, my dear. Sometimes the strongest people are the ones who can weep and still keep walking, who can grieve and still choose grace, who can cry and still believe in tomorrow. Let the tears come when they come. Let them tell the truth on your behalf. When they finish their work, you will see yourself again clean and quiet and whole enough to begin. Healing requires a new language. You can't insult your way into wholeness. I have watched people try, though standing in the mirror like a jury, handing down guilty verdicts on their own bodies, their own hearts, their own history. I have heard the sharp words they throw at themselves, like stones: lazy, foolish, broken, too much, not enough. And I want to take those stones out of your hands, because you cannot build a home with what you use to hurt yourself. You cannot speak life into a spirit while your tongue keeps calling it dead. Listen, my dear, words are not just sounds. Words are seeds. You plant them in your mind, and they grow roots in your bones. If you keep telling yourself you are weak, your shoulders will learn that story. If you keep saying you are unlovable, your heart will start boarding up its own windows. But if you change the language, you change the weather inside you. You begin to say, I am learning. I am healing. I am becoming. You begin to speak to yourself the way the morning speaks to the sky, patient, certain, returning again and again with light. There is a difference between accountability and cruelty. One helps you stand straighter, the other keeps you bowed. So when you stumble, don't whip your soul for it. When you rest, don't accuse your body of betrayal. When you feel afraid, don't call yourself a coward, call yourself human. Talk to yourself like you are someone worth saving, because you are. Speak gently, not because life has been gentle, but because you are reclaiming your dignity. And that reclamation begins in the mouth, in the mind, in the small sentences you repeat when nobody is listening. Choose words that mend. Choose words that hold. Let your new language be the place you finally come home. The body remembers feeling tired or raw can mean you're going deeper, not backward. Some people think healing is a straight road with neat signs and quick arrivals. But the truth is, healing is more like crossing water. It changes under your feet. One day you feel steady. The next day you feel every bruise you thought you'd outgrown. And you wonder if you have lost all your progress. But your body is not betraying you. It is telling you the truth it has been carrying in silence. Your shoulders have stored conversations you never finished. Your jaw has held back words you were afraid would cost you love. Your stomach has swallowed fear and called it dinner. Your sleep has been broken by memories that still want to be acknowledged, still want to be held in the light long enough to loosen their grip. And when you finally choose to heal, your body may begin to speak louder, not because you are getting worse, but because you are getting honest. The pain you could ignore when you were busy surviving becomes harder to ignore when you start living. That is not failure. That is awakening. Think of a splinter that has been lodged under the skin for years. At first it numbs. You learn to move around it. You learn to smile through it. But when it finally comes to the surface, it stings, it burns, it looks uglier before it gets clean. And that is what deeper healing can feel. Like raw, tender, exposed. Not because you are weak, but because the wound is finally being touched by air. The body is drawing the poison out. The spirit is refusing to keep paying rent to old pain. So when you feel tired, don't shame yourself. When you feel sensitive, don't call it softness as an insult. When your body asks for rest, listen like it is speaking scripture. Let your healing have its seasons. Let it be slow enough to be real. And if today feels heavy, remember, sometimes the weight is not the world pressing you down. Sometimes it is your body laying the past down at last. Stay with it. Stay gentle. Stay present. That is how you come back to yourself. Healing restores dignity. You stop shrinking and start walking like your life is yours. There's a quiet miracle that happens when a person decides at last to belong to themselves. Not to the opinions that pinch and pull at them. Not to the old stories that name them too much and not enough. Not to the rooms where they had to fold their spirit small just to be allowed inside. Healing does not merely patch the wound. It returns you to your rightful size. It reminds you that you were not made to live bent over, apologizing for your breath. Dignity is not arrogance, and it is not a crown you wear for other people to admire. Dignity is a spine. It is the inner truth that says, I am worthy of respect even in my unfinished days. It is the way you stop begging for scraps of affection and start choosing relationships that hold you with clean hands. It is the moment you realize that love should not require self-erasure and peace should not come with a price tag of humiliation. When dignity returns, you do not have to announce it. People feel it. It is in your no. It is in your silence. It is in the way you leave the table when the conversation becomes poison. Some of you have been living as if your life needed permission. You waited to be chosen, waited to be approved, waited to be told you could finally rest. But healing teaches you a holy disobedience. It teaches you to stop auditioning for belonging. It teaches you to speak your name like it matters, to take up space without guilt, to protect your joy like it is sacred currency. You begin to understand that you are not here to be consumed, you are here to be lived. And when you walk in that dignity, your steps become a testimony, not loud, not showy, just true. You were never weak, you were healing, and now you are rising. Now listen to me. My dear, healing is not a ribbon you tie neatly around your pain so the world can call it pretty. Healing is the slow return of your own name to your mouth. It is the moment you stop treating your tenderness like a crime and start treating it like proof that you are alive. It is the quiet decision to rest without guilt, to cry without shame, to speak to yourself with mercy, to honor what your body remembers, and to carry your dignity like a lantern in a dark street. Some days you will still feel the old weight tug at your sleeves. Some mornings you may wake up and think you are back at the beginning. But beginnings have a strange kind of holiness because they mean you are still here to choose again. And every time you choose yourself, every time you step away from what drains you, every time you tell the truth, every time you soften your own voice toward your own heart, you are not losing strength. you are learning the truest form of it. So when the world misnames your healing as weakness, let it. The world has misnamed many sacred things. You keep walking, you keep becoming, you keep rising not as a performance, but as a promise, because you were never weak, you were healing, and the fact that you are still standing, still reaching, still willing to begin again is a miracle you ought to respect. Hold your head up, take your time, protect your peace, speak kindly to yourself. Let your life be your answer. If this found you, it was meant to. Good luck and thank you.